we have had quite the fun time preparing for this one. Welcome into the newest episode of the Hoth Hangout podcast. We've got a really fun one. I've been thinking about this literally like all day, Joey. I don't know about you, but we've got a Hoth Hangout draft, most powerful Jedi, coming up today. Looking forward to that. But first of all, and importantly, Joey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good, I'm doing well. I'm going out of town tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been planning all weekend and today to getting stuff ready and set at the house. But in the meantime, also I've been thinking about this draft all weekend to think of who I'm gonna pick, who you're gonna pick. Really just like any fantasy draft that I do. So I'm excited to get it rolling.
Yeah, I'm putting myself in that fantasy football mindset of like, all right, here we go. Like I'm strapping in, I'm buckled in for this thing right now. Right now.
I really wish there was an auto draft. I would have loved to have seen what the like there's always that one team that can't make it to the draft,
Yeah.
so they just do auto pick the entire way. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wish we would have had a third, and that would be our AI
With
draft there.
with the fourth pick, the AI selects the Jedi youngling from the temple.
Oh no!
And before we hop into the draft, just to remind you all, if you ever want to tweet at us at Hoth Hangout, send us a message, a question maybe you want us to address on stream, you're more than welcome to do that. Again, that's at Hoth Hangout over on Twitter. Check us out there. And then email as well if you want to shoot us an email, hothhangout@gmail.com. And then moving into our draft state of mind, or actually, I will also mention, I think at the moment of the recording this, we are one subscriber away from hitting 50 on YouTube. So if you're watching the video version of the podcast, hi YouTube, definitely hit that subscribe button. And those of you who have already subscribed, thank you for getting us to 50 subscribers. So y'all are awesome.
Thank you.
And then moving towards our draft, again, this is the most powerful Jedi squad. I'm a little bit curious how you're going to approach it, but before we talked about that, we had to come up with a way to decide who was going to get the first pick, who was going to get the second pick. And I think what we decided upon, rather than doing it snake draft style, where if you don't know what a snake draft is, it's the first person picks, and then the person that picks second would also pick third, kind of like a snake. It makes more sense when there's more than two people drafting, but I think we just went with the decision to kind of alternate back and forth, and then the next time we do this, if you enjoy this, leave a like, leave a comment, letting us know. The next time we end up doing it, maybe like a top 5 Sith, something like that potentially, or dark side users, maybe is a better way of saying it. Then the opposite person would go first. And so, having said that, here's a quick look at the footage of who ended up going first. Joey, I'm going to let you do the honors of either picking heads or tails. Before you pick, there is a large part of me that kind of wants to go second, just because I want to see what you'll do first.
Okay.
So
fair.
That's with that in mind. Are you going heads or tails here?
I'm going tails.
Okay, let's see. It was heads. Does that mean I go first, or I get to pick if I want to go first?
Oh, I thought it would just be that's what you pick to.
I think either way, I think I am gonna pick to go first.
Okay, there we go.
That makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Joey selected tails, right, and it ended up being heads, and so I won the first pick in the draft, which I mentioned this to you already, Joey. Yeah. What? You rigged it.
We'll have to look at the website's logs. Make sure that it all checks out.
I coded that website to give me the first pick, by the way. I actually told you I kind of wanted the second pick. I mean, I chose the first pick. If I had a choice, I would still rather have the first one. But there was a big part of me that didn't want to go first because I wanted to make my pick in reaction to your pick in a ways. Now I feel like all the pressure is on me for this first
and that is
pick.
very much a fantasy draft mentality, whether it's in there or even like an actual NFL draft. That number one pick is always got a lot of pressure because you're like, well, you got to come out swinging or you got to pick out it right. where the whoever's in second or third can be a little bit more strategic with their with who they have.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so let us know as we go through the draft. Where did we get it right? Where did we get it wrong? Maybe whose five would take out the other person's five by the end of it. And last thing I'll mention, which we wanted to also mention before we start drafting our Jedi squads, is that the brand new Jedi Survivor game was announced for, I believe it's March 16th of this upcoming year, 2023. So, did you ever did you play Jedi, the first one,
So I started it,
Fallen Order?
and much like any other video game I've ever played, I did not finish it.
Mm,
So I did enjoy a lot of it, the parts that I did get through, and I know there's a lot of people that really enjoyed that game. So I do
yeah.
have to go back and revisit it. I know there's a lot of good storylines in there as well. So I definitely do have to go back and play it. What about you?
I was actually the exact same. I think I played half of it, and I don't know why I
Hmm.
didn't finish it. It feels like a
Hmm.
game where if I would have played it when I was 16, I would have done it in like 2 days. But because I,
Yeah,
was playing it just a few years, I think it was 2019.
yeah,
I
sounds about
couldn't
right.
like devote as much time to it as I wanted to, and just for whatever reason, one or another, didn't finish it. But there's a huge push to get Cal Kestis involved into like the main like live action canonical stuff.
Hmm.
So that's really cool to see that fans
And
have
I
had
mean
such
that
a
the actor that plays him, I mean, he
yeah,
is an actor, and he's he obviously is modeled after him, so
sure, definitely.
pretty easy tie-in in there.
Yeah. He's a cool protagonist for that game for sure. So yeah, be on the lookout for that if you're a fan of Star Wars video games coming to a system, a console near you here in about a little over 3 months time. So that's really exciting. Again, March 16th, 2023. Be on the lookout for that. Which is also a good transition point for us to go into the draft because I think we've made the decision to exclude video game characters from this, correct?
For now, yes.
For now,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, honestly, there's a lot of merit for Cal. I think
Mhm.
he wasn't going to be on my list anyways, but there
Right.
is a. I'll leave my thoughts on that until later, maybe.
There we go.
So without further ado, should we hop into our picks?
Yeah, let's start it up.
Oh, dude. Okay, this pick for me, this pick is I think the obvious pick, and I. It's funny because I was talking to you about this. Well, I started to talk to you about this, and then I thought I should probably hold my tongue. That way we could discuss it on the podcast. Is that I made my list, and I had a number one who, like, I initially made my list, like, what Jedi I like the most, because that number one is different than what I think would be most powerful number one. Um, and so after I kind of adjusted my list and put the number one who I think would be, I've got to go with Luke. Got to go with Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
And it's a very not me pick. In fact,
Hmm.
if I was doing like a top five Jedi I just like or enjoy for the sake, this may be like blasphemous to some OT fans.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't think Luke would make my top five personal favorite Jedi.
Hmm. Gotcha.
Having said that, um, the reason I'm couple reasons I'm taking him as my number one pick. Um, First reason is that in regards to like abilities and powers, I think what we see from episodes 4, 5, and 6, first of all, he obviously progresses from very little to what we see in Return of the Jedi, which is clearly enough to take down Darth Vader. Um, and it's also worth noting that past episode 6, and this is kind of where it gets hazy into non-canonical. This is kind of like EU legend stuff, but Luke goes on to become pretty well known as the most powerful Jedi Master. Either he becomes Grand Master of the Order, he reignites and restarts the Jedi Order. He
Okay.
learns Force abilities that are definitely not common and not easy to learn. And then additionally, my second reason, and this may be kind of a cop out answer, but it's a fact, is that George Lucas is on the record as stating that Luke is the or would go on to be the most powerful Jedi that ever lived. And so that was kind of my ace in the hole for picking Luke as my number one. Is like, well, George Lucas said it. He said it.
Right, right.
And so during my research for kind of my list, it's funny because like you have your ideas of who you're gonna pick, and then you kind of like do a little bit of research, and you're like, should I pick that person?
Right.
On my research for Luke, it was interesting because it compared his ability and his power at the time of Return of the Jedi to Anakin's powers and abilities, kind of like during Revenge of the Sith, kind of them being on somewhat comparable levels in those two moments, one to the other, and then of course Luke going on to become the Grand Master of the Order, and this is also worth mentioning. Like, I think this is another reason why, and again, I'm not here to bag on the sequels, but this is another reason why I just it frustrated me so much with the way he was depicted, and I think a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people it frustrated them with
Mm-hmm.
the way he was depicted in 7, 8, and 9, or I guess 8 and 9 because he wasn't in 7, but um, or I guess he was at the very, very, very end. But anyways, he just kind of seemed like a geezer the whole time. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
And then obviously there's some cool scenes, and
Get off
especially
my lawn.
yeah, yeah, like in episode 9, he's got the I don't know. There's just so much to his character in the sequels that is not indicative of how cool he is in the EU, in the expanded universe,
Mm-hmm.
and so I know it's kind of heavily influenced my answer by Legends and EU content, but um, that was long winded. But having said that, I'm gonna go with Luke Skywalker as my number one pick.
Nice. Good pick.
I
I
did.
could see.
What did you
I
think I
could.
was gonna pick?
I thought you were gonna pick who I'm gonna pick now.
Oh, okay. Is this your original number one pick, or did I steal your number one?
No, no, this is my original number one pick.
Oh,
So
okay,
I
cool,
am
cool.
I'm chilling over here.
I feel like you're definitely gonna choose someone on my list. I
I
mean,
mean, I'm
Luke was on your
assuming.
list, or
Oh
was
yeah, yeah,
okay?
yeah. Luke's on my list. Yeah. Up up high on my list.
Okay.
Um, with the number two pick, um, I gotta pick Yoda. I mean,
He was my number two.
yeah, your number two pick.
Yeah.
Oh man, so I will fully admit I am not well versed at all in EU, in Legends, and everything like that. But just the presence that he has had through pretty much every story, whether it is in the original trilogy, his mark on everything in the prequels, and his little stint there even in the sequel trilogy, and in all the animated series and everything like that. So he just demands this presence, this respect, not only from um, the Jedi Council or whoever, but just anybody he comes in contact with. So and of course he's got, and he has always been like that mentor, that teacher to so many, that
Hmm.
I think he taught Dooku, if I'm not mistaken. No, he was Dooku's mentor. Um and obviously it was Luke also as well. And I mean these are some high ranked Jedi here that we're talking about. And like I said, I don't have the I, part of, and you've kind of mentioned this there, I will say that part of me is pulling in of like who I like, because
Yeah.
this is how I would draft too, what I'm saying, this is how I would draft on NFL or NBA, whatever. There has to be something that gels with me and them as well, so I think for me, Yoda would be actually my number one pick at this point.
Yeah.
Now I'm super scared of who your number two pick if your
Well,
number
so
one pick wasn't this. But yeah, Yoda goes my number one pick, second overall in the draft.
yeah, that's a really good pick because he was gonna be my number two. Actually, on my original list of just like who I liked the most, Yoda has always been my favorite.
Yes, yeah.
Obi-Wan is right there. Yoda and Obi-Wan are kind of always been my
Hmm.
favorites. And so
Hmm.
in my like favorites list, they were basically like 1 and 2.
Right.
And now I have a tough decision between I think two people mainly.
Hmm.
I'm so torn, and I have logic, I have a rationale, but I don't want to like pick because of what I think I can get in round 3. Because if I pick one of these people, I think
You lose the other one maybe.
yeah, if I pick one, I definitely lose the other. I think either way, maybe. Oh gosh. Okay, if we're
I don't know.
drafting,
I don't know. I'm. You got to remember also. I'm playing games with you now. You got. You got to remember also that that I am also not also for like the super powerful, but something that connects with me too. So you may still get it. Who knows? Or may not.
yeah, I am. Oh, I think I'm gonna go with my number 2 pick. I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna go with Obi-Wan.
Oh, okay.
I
Very nice.
am gonna go with Obi-Wan. I think that may be partially influenced by my own bias of how much I like him. Um, but having also said that, I think one of the main reasons I'm picking him, like on the surface, he doesn't strike me as like the most powerful Jedi. You know what I mean? But I think the
Mhm.
more, I mean, part of it's because his character is like more so than any other character. Probably, obviously. Well, actually, him and Anakin, I think, are the only two, and like Yoda, kind of, that are in every single movie, other than like the droids.
Mhm.
And who else would? Am I forgetting anybody? Who would
I feel
be?
like there's one more.
I mean, Yoda kind of in the first one he has very minimal
Mhm.
role. Um, or no, Yoda's not in uh
Yoda's not
New
in eight.
Hope.
Oh yeah, six. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
Um, and so wait, okay, hold on. Anyways, side note. Um, okay, so Obi-Wan is my second pick. Um, he was able to defeat Anakin in episode 3, which is, I think, one of his strongest points for why I'm selecting him at this position. He is a master. I think it's form 3 he's a master of. There's 7 forms of Jedi. I read a lot about lightsaber forms
You went
today.
into it. You went into it. Let's go.
Form 3 is like the well known as the most defensive lightsaber form, which
Mhm.
Obi-Wan is the most well known practitioner and master is of Form 3. He has a very defensive style of combat. And again, he mastered that form of lightsaber combat. And a great like point for when that's really evident is you may not obviously like you see the Revenge of the Sith, the Battle of Heroes fight, and you're like, it's not really defensive. But if you look at how Sir Alec Guinness is fighting in New Hope, it's like, yeah, he's fighting pretty
Yeah, right.
defensively.
Yes.
um,
Absolutely.
but anyways, side point, he was able partly because of the influence of Qui-Gon, but he was able to become one with the Force after he died, which obviously is indicative of a certain level of ability and power. And was largely responsible. And I don't know how much this is a power, thing, but was largely responsible in guiding and directing and influencing Luke to to face the Emperor and face Vader. He has had 2 Skywalkers as his apprentices, and so I don't know. I feel like that's worth something too. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Obi-Wan as my second pick.
Nice.
Who did you
That's a good
think
pick.
my second? Well, I'll let you pick, and then maybe we can talk about who you thought my second pick
I
was after that.
I thought th-
Or is your
I
second
had a
pick
feel
is my second
I had a
pick
fe-
gonna give away what you think is my next pick gonna be?
yes, that's what I was about to say
Oh,
there.
okay, okay,
At least I think so.
okay.
Um actually, I don't know. I'm not sure if this would have been your cuz I will say this was my second pick actually from the start. So
Okay.
I'm chilling here as well
Okay.
on this one. Um I got Anakin
Nice.
being
Not a bad pick at all. I
yeah,
thought about it
yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, so Anakin is my so that wasn't your okay, interesting.
He was
Um
he was my well, he was on my list. He was on my 5.
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah. So I got Anakin, uh, fourth overall, my second pick. There is something to be said about someone who was meant to bring balance to
Yeah.
the force.
The
You know,
chosen one.
yeah, there is something to be said about somebody who uh, by a mere, not even a mere, but his storyline changed the universe. From going to where he was a Padawan, into a knight, and then he wasn't able to become master. He got mad about that. He hates sand. He, um, no, that's then he turns and becomes one of the most evil villains, most recognizable villains in the universe. Alongside the Emperor, obviously, but we're not talking about Sith. We're talking, So um, so I guess from my perspective, his loss as a Jedi, him losing him as a Jedi, going over to the other side. Look at what the destruction was
Yeah.
for everyone. And now there was a bigger fan involved, obviously, about it. But that does not work unless you have Anakin in it as well. Kind of a kind of a darker turn on the Jedi. Obviously we think about Jedi, but I'm thinking about how impactful was his loss to the Jedi, to the light side. And obviously, people like, and he did end up, getting defeated by Obi-Wan twice,
Yeah.
um but we come to find out he got his licks in on Obi-Wan during the Kenobi series, so he definitely, we did not know about that until recently, so he got a little bit of revenge on that. But again, that's the Darth Vader side, not the Anakin side. But so I think the uh having seen him early on. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of the prequels when they came out. Like, I did not watch Episode 2 very first out of all my Star Wars movies, unlike some people.
Who does
But
that?
who does that? But so I wasn't a huge fan of it. But now looking back, and we talked about it before, how we could appreciate all of that media, all of those movies now, and seeing that growth in Anakin over that time, and especially with things like the animated Clone Wars series, you see him come into his own as, leading these armies, leading, being a leader. Um, and he is great swordsman. I mean, his lightsaber skills are top notch. Um, we come to know that he's very strong in the Force as well. I think one of the things that I've pinned things on here was his ability to move from the light to the dark, and being able to engross all of that and use all of that, essentially. Again, I know we're talking about just the Jedi side, but this is the same person that we're talking about, right? So that's why I have him at my number 2 pick and the number 4 overall pick.
I like that pick a lot. Anakin is the young quarterback who you draft, and he has a ton of potential. And then
Andrew Luck.
and then he tears his or he retires. Yeah, but I was gonna say he tears his ACL and the
Yeah.
No. I do. I like the pick a lot. My third pick. You talked a lot about like light side and dark side.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
This character is like the embodiment of that more than anybody, and it may be cheating a little bit because he's not canonical. But I gotta go with my guy Revan.
Oh, let's go.
Both before he was a Sith, and then after he was a Sith. If you're listening to this and you don't know who Revan is, definitely check out some of the Legends EU content. He's, I think, the best non-canonical Star Wars character. I don't even think it's close. He is such a fun character, and yeah,
and this is how impactful that character is that I even know who it is. Someone who doesn't know anything about Legends or EU, I actually know a little bit about Rev.
Have you ever played the Knights of the Old Republic games?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so anyways, he's a big part of those, and I think that was actually where he was first introduced, because I'm pretty sure the books were written after the Knights of the Republic video games came out. But anyways, so if you don't know anything about this guy, like, who's this Revan guy? He was a Jedi, and he lived approximately, like, I think it was 4,000 years before the time of, like, the Star Wars that we're familiar with, like the prequels in the original trilogy, and not the sequels. No, but
why'd you leave that one out?
Yeah. like around like 4000 ABY is approximately when he lived. And so he was a Jedi, and he, along with his really good friend Malik, who, if you've seen any of those really cool trailers
Mhm.
for gosh, why is it escaping? Oh, the Old Republic games. If you've seen the trailers for those, that is Malik. Although that's when he's Darth Malik. So they're buddies. They're both Jedi. He they both or excuse me. Before that, Revan. At the time, there's the Mandalorian Wars going on, and Revan um, fights this guy named Mandalore the Ultimate in one-on-one combat. Mandalore the Ultimate is like trying to take over the universe and going against the Republic. And as a precursor to that, he fights him against the Council's advice or against their will. And so the Republic requests the help of the Jedi Council. The Council says no. Revan says we should help them, and so he goes to help them and defeats Mandalore the Ultimate, takes his mask, and so that's why Revan is wearing a
Mm.
mask. It's a a Mandalorian mask, and so then he learns that the reason Mandalore the Ultimate. Sorry, I'm going way too deep with this one, but the reason he gives Mandalore the Ultimate that he Mandalore the Ultimate tells him the reason he was attacking the Republic was because of the Sith Emperor, and so Revan, along with Malik, go to confront the Sith Emperor. He turns them both to the dark side. They become dark side Force users. There's a ton of story with Revan that they could explore in movies too if they really really wanted to. Eventually, through a whole series of events, he is captured by the Jedi. They kind of like mind warp him. He becomes good again. And so it's during
Mm.
these separate times when he's considered to be on the light side, a Jedi. And actually, he goes back to becoming more of like a gray character after that too. So he's like this side, that side, this side, that side.
Uh,
Um, but during all this time, he defeats Mandalore the Ultimate, who is like at the time, other than the Sith Emperor, probably the most powerful being in the universe. Um, and he is one of the only people to become one with the Force while still living. And so this is later on
oh wow.
after he goes from bad to good, or I'm sorry, from good to bad to good to kind of in the middle. And then right after that, he learns to like fully embody both the light and the dark side simultaneously and becomes one with the Force. And so
Wow.
I feel like that's a pretty good case to have him on this list.
Yeah.
Along with the fact that he defeated Mandalore the Ultimate pretty early. I think he was like in his either late teens or 20s, early 20s when that happened. So um, I could talk so long about Revan, but for the sake of time, I'll just leave it at that and say he's my number 3 pick.
Nice. Oh wait, I think I'm hearing something. Um, sounds like we have an improper use of uncanonical source that we
Yeah.
cannot allow this
What?
pick. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No legends? Honestly, that's so fair. I
That was good.
I was doing my list, my precursor list this morning, and and I was like, "Ooh, I gotta include him." And I was like, "Is that fair? Is it not fair?"
No, it's fine.
So that one
We
was a
allow
little
it.
bit of
We'll
a
allow it.
cheap pick, but
This is no. We'll consider Revan like in the NBA draft when they draft some kid like from overseas that you
yeah,
never
yeah,
even heard
yeah.
of.
He's gonna come over in
But
like 3 or 4 years and be my star player.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's what Revan is. He is the he's the Dirk Nowitzki of
Mm,
this draft. So
I
yeah. So
like
I think
that.
it's fair.
Yeah.
So we got Revan at 5. All right. See, this is where it gets tough for me because I got a couple here that I wanna pick, and it really is just like a draft now. At first,
Yeah.
I'm trying to fill out I feel like, and I don't know if this is the way you're thinking, but I'm trying to fill out a team here. What I gotta get
Yeah,
a
you
good
got to get your
team.
point guard, your shooting
Yeah,
guard,
exactly.
different
Yeah.
different abilities, well
Right.
rounded.
Yeah. Well rounded. But you do want to get like a diamond in the rough at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all kind of the same here. Oh boy. I mean, yeah, I think I'm going to go with this one here, and I'm hoping the next one will be there as well still, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Um, I don't know where this person will fit in your draft, but I always put them pretty high on mine. So I'm going with Ray on for
Oh,
our
interesting.
number 6 pick. I I know I don't know where you are with that.
I'm gonna be completely
I'm
honest with
picking it.
you.
Yeah,
I maybe foolishly, but out of my slight distaste for the sequels, didn't
I
even
know.
have her on my list. But
I know.
I want to hear you out. Why is she your third pick?
Why is she the third pick? So, I mean, the lineage is there as much as we don't want to admit it.
Fair.
with Palpatine, and we know how powerful he is with the Force and everything like that. So there's that line. We can argue about how great or not great that storyline is, but that's for another episode. Um, but she manages to, um, in the short amount of time that we actually do see her, because between episode 7 through episode 9, there's not many years, I don't think, that, because I think the episode 7 and 8, I think, happen over pretty much overnight. That's like 2 days or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, something
And
like that.
then because it's like you kind of butts into it. Obviously, she meets Luke at the end, and then she's with Luke at the so she's trained by one of the best, in our draft here, the best, of all Jedi. And also she's also been trained by Leia as well. Her sister, so she's gotten the teachers there. She ends up defeating the Emperor in episode 9. Um, as well as, figuring, has the ability that I've not seen before, and I could be wrong, to essentially heal people from something like even lightsaber wounds, which is something that I've never seen before. So she has that power. She's able to do that. Um, and so she comes from this very short amount of time being able to be looked at as just a scavenger, kind of street rat type of person, up until episode 9, where she's able to defeat have be in touch with all of the Jedi and be able to defeat the Emperor. And that's I don't know if everybody has that in their back pocket, but she was able to pull that off there at the end. um I know sequels are not your bag, but and again, I am pulling a lot from how much I did actually like her character. I did enjoy watching her as well. And in all honesty, I'll put it out there, more than an Anakin. Unfortunately, Hayden didn't really do it for me too much. But
Yeah,
as far as the as far as that power that in Rey's character, I thought she did pretty good. So, I am gonna go with Rey for my number 6 pick, and for number 6 overall, and for my third in the draft.
I like it. Honestly, totally fair pick. And to be fair, as far as the sequel goes, I don't. I like Rey too. I don't. I wouldn't go as far to say I like her more than Anakin, but
Yeah, right.
I don't think she's a bright spot of the sequels. Maybe I'll say it that way.
Right.
So I like the pick. The Palpatine
Yeah.
connection is a really good point too.
Right. Yeah. So
Uh,
should we go over who we have now? Each team has right now.
sure.
Just a quick little
So
recap.
I've got Luke, Revan, and Obi-Wan. You've got
And I've got Yoda, Anakin, and Rey.
okay. Dang. Okay.
Pretty good.
I need a point guard to match up with Yoda here.
Point guard. Let's go.
Let's see. Okay. This next one is tough for me because okay, during like research for this, you just come across so many like out there ones, and we might go over some of those at the very end.
Yeah.
There's one that like my heart wants to pick, and I don't think I can pick him over two other people. Just have to decide which one of these people I want to pick first, because I think you're gonna pick the other one if I don't. Oh gosh. I am gonna go with more of a heart pick here.
Okay.
Still very powerful. Actually, I think we have yet to see this character's full power potential. I'll put it that way too.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Ahsoka, and I'm. Was that your next pick?
I mean, go on.
Either it was your next pick or you just think it's a really bad pick. I can't tell which one.
No. That was my next pick.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's my next pick.
I
Yeah,
I
it's my
stole
next
her
pick.
out from under you.
Yeah. I was hoping. I We'll see. We'll see. We'll just go
Because
ahead.
I think you're gonna pick the other person I was
I think
considering.
yeah. I think these two are the ones that you and I would have picked. Whoever got there first would have gotten there. I'm thinking
Yeah.
anyway. Let's see though. But yes, Ahsoka was definitely on there.
Um, it's no secret that Ahsoka is. Earlier, I said that Obi-Wan and Yoda were my favorite Jedi. And for this pick, I know we're doing our top 5 favorite Jedi. I think the reason I said that earlier statement was because there's a pretty large part of me. I mean, she was a Jedi, Ahsoka. Where we are with her for the majority of her. Well, I guess a lot of it was also Clone Wars, but for all of her story post Clone Wars, she's self-identifiably not a Jedi. And for that reason, I think I tend to gravitate towards these gray characters. Revan is a great example of that too. Um, but I think Ahsoka, in terms of power, one of the best examples that I think I could give was that she stood up to Vader. I believe the name of that episode is I think it's Twilight of an Apprentice and Rebels. Um, some of the best, maybe the best animated Star Wars content, and that's including Clone Wars, is that episode of Rebels. If you've never seen Rebels, check it out. But in terms of just power overall, I think she is a contender. You know, she studied under Anakin. She's Anakin's former apprentice. And also worth noting that I don't think we've seen the full potential of her power. So you talked about earlier, like drafting some diamonds in the rough. Like if once the Ahsoka show comes on, I just want to see her like I want to see her do something where it's like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, we kind of had a moment like that in Tales of the Jedi, in that battle with we think it was an Inquisitor, I guess, but we both it happened and we were both like stood there with our jaws open watching it. So all that being said, a little bit of a heart pick for me. My favorite Star Wars character in general is Ahsoka. But I think still deserves a place on the most powerful list. I'm gonna take her with my number 4.
Let's go. Nice. Good one. A really good one. And to your point, the diamond in the rough. I mean, imagine we have seen a lot. I mean, we've gotten a lot of Ahsoka content up until now,
Mm-hmm.
and even still, we can say we haven't seen all of what she can do. So you know, because she left so early, because, you know, although she may not identify as it, she is still acting in the best interests of you know the people around her, which is more like the Jedi
Yeah.
way, you know, as opposed to the other side. And which is a great way to go from the other side for my segue here into my pick.
Oh, I think I
Um,
know who you're picking now, and it might have been different than who I thought I was gonna pick.
oh, okay. So okay, interesting. So like I said, I did have. I thought that once we got to this point, if it was, you know, it was between Ahsoka and this person, I don't know exactly who I would have picked, but you picked Ahsoka in front of me, so I got to go with the next one here. And a lot of it is with content recently released on this particular character. There was a book that was released recently, an audio performance, and he was the other side of the Tales of the Jedi. So I am going to go with Dooku coming in here as well. I feel like I'm a broken record because it's the same type of thing where with Anakin, the loss of him, you know, really made waves across the universe, and I feel this is the same way. And this is kind of a hard pick for me too, a hard pick for me as well because, like I said, as of recently, I've been really getting into this character and seeing what he's all about,
Uh-huh.
and understanding him. I after Tales of Jedi, I went back and re-listened to to Jedi Lost because I was so interested in in his character. Um, but yeah, so you know, again, you know, he was taught by Yoda, was the master of Qui-Gon, and sat in that gray area even then. You know, even then, where we saw where he was at odds with the Jedi Council. He was at odds with, you know, people who would follow the rules without any type of questioning of anything. So again, a heart pick, I think, for me. I know that, you know, we it's hard to do these types of things and not put our heart into it. You know, put like people that we really enjoy to watch. So yeah, I think Dooku does that for me. When he's able to, although maybe not have that same type of balance like you said with Revan being able to be one with the Force and kind of pull from the light and the dark at the same time. Uh, because obviously there's a cutover, there's a switch. We see the moment it happens when he moves over to the
Hmm.
dark side. But in the same breath as my Anakin pick, I thought that his move over to the Sith was really a game changer for the entire universe. So I am going with Dooku for our number 8 pick.
Nice. That's a very fitting that we had the two Tales of the Jedi characters on our
Yeah, I
both
know.
our
We're back
fourth
to back,
picks. Yeah.
back to back. Yeah.
All right, down to our last picks here. I think I gotta go with this guy. Although there's a couple I want to shout out afterwards, but
Yeah, yeah.
my heart wants me to pick someone else. But I think I'm gonna go with my fifth pick. I'm going to select Mace Windu.
Oh, come on.
Is that yours?
Yes.
See, if we do a Sith one of
Yes,
these, I
yes.
feel like that same thing is gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Right. Yes, yes. But I
uh,
mean, it's back and forth. It's fine.
yeah,
But yes.
I gotta go with Mace. Actually, admittedly, this is probably not one of my favorite Jedi. In fact, he would definitely fall outside of my top 5, maybe even out of my top 10. And I think that's kind of just because we don't have a ton of like Mace
Yeah.
content, partially.
Right.
I think we're
Right.
kind of, we get so much of like Luke and Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka and, Rey now. It's like, I mean, almost everyone on our list. Revan has way more source content than Mace Windu does, and Revan's not even canon. And so maybe that's part of the reason I'm not like huge on him, but I can't overlook him in terms of power, because he was known to be at the time the most powerful Jedi. Even though I think Yoda was technically considered the wisest, Mace was kind of generally known as like in terms of combat um, the most prestigious member of the Jedi Order, the guy you didn't want to mess with a lightsaber. He's got a purple one after all.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh, but the more it is cool like looking at our list because in many different aspects, there is some sense of grayness to almost all characters. Yoda's well, honestly, even with some of the characters who we always thought were very morally good. I mean, you see the more and more Star Wars content we get. There's a couple of I think it's season 6 of the Clone Wars where Yoda like goes off and he kind of meets his dark side.
oh,
Have you seen
right.
those
Yes, yes.
episodes?
I forgot about that. That's right.
So
Yeah.
like even the morally good characters have some sense of grayness to them. Or if it's not grayness, then some sorts of like moral conflict, like Obi-Wan with his relationship with Satine. So like these really morally good characters are even gray sometimes. Anyways, side point. Mace is also one of these morally gray characters, and it's not really explained or delved into in the movies very much. Um, but not to go back to the lightsaber combat thing, but Mace is a practitioner of the 7th form of lightsaber combat, which is generally regarded across the entire Jedi Order, across time, as being the form that is the most controversial, the one that you would never teach to a Padawan,
Mm.
because of its tendency for the user to be corrupted and lean into
Oh.
anger in its use. And so Mace is actually the only Jedi at the time of the Clone Wars. I don't actually know about in history, but um, at the during the fall and the fall of the Republic, kind of that rise of the Empire era, he's the only Jedi to be a practitioner of this form because he is the only person to have not fallen to the dark side while using the 7th form of lightsaber combat. So that's a pretty cool, interesting note,
That is very cool.
indicating his ability to, um, if not overcome, channel that anger into some other form of style with his lightsaber, or it's worth noting that he's the only person that's able to do this. So, and then apart from that, as I said before, he's the considered to be the most powerful member of the Jedi Order at the time. So, yeah, he's my fifth pick, and I feel good about Mason in that position.
I gotta say, I'm glad you picked him because I would have never known any of that. based off of that. I mean, it kind of shows in, well, ask Jango Fett, um,
Yeah, yeah,
how that worked out for him. Um, kind of, I guess now that I look, now knowing that the the standoff with him and Anakin and the Emperor, or with Palpatine, where he's, basically, he was ready to take him down, and Anakin was ready to. Well, obviously, Anakin took Mace out there.
yeah. I mean, he basically defeated the Emperor, and then Anakin kind of
Yeah.
blindsided him.
Right. Yeah. So, but I mean, Mace was ready to end the Emperor at that point. I mean, that's how what I felt in that moment. He was ready
Yeah,
to just completely. He is too strong. He is too strong for to go to trial. He is too
right.
strong to do this. So I have to finish this off now. So I don't know if that lines up as part of the that what you're saying about him being the most powerful, and also
Kind of gray.
being the
Like
most
he's,
controversial.
yeah, he's like
Great,
willing
right,
to kill this guy just flat out, in cold blood.
right,
Um,
exactly. So I think that's more, that makes that even more interesting, knowing that fact of him.
yeah.
Good team, good pick, good pick. I was gonna pick him, but what didn't have all that information on. But so pretty cool. Um, this last pick of the draft here, um, there is one that wants me to be like, oh, good one, and like not, So I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go with the one that maybe we doesn't have enough information on, but I feel once we find out a little bit more about them, there will be. I am going with Sifo Dyas
I like
as my
this.
number 10 pick.
I like this pick.
Um, and this is very much a last pick of the draft type of guy. If this was, 10 versus 10, maybe I don't ever, maybe I don't pick him right here. But I'm getting Sifo Dyas here at the end of this draft to close it out. We learned in Jedi Lost about the powers that Sifo has a little bit, mainly being able to kind of see not the future, but kind of, I guess, a version of the future that's out there. Something like that is very powerful to me. I can't think of many other Jedi. There may be others. Tell me if there are, um, but he was able to have that in his back pocket at any point. Something that, and now that could shift a ton of decisions that are being made. Don't know much about his lightsaber skills. I don't know much about anything else, but that's why he's my number 10 pick, because he's number 10 pick because we're pulling him in here. I want him to get him on the team. He is the one that you scouted a little bit, and you're like, oh, he looks pretty good. I'm gonna put him in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Um,
like that.
so I like this pick for us, because of that. Now I will say I do have to say who the other one was, just just to have it out there. I know we're towards the end now. We could talk about some honorable mentions,
Yeah.
but Qui-Gon was the
Yes,
other
he
side
was
of it.
he
Yeah,
was he was my guy who
Qui-Gon,
was debating
Qui-Gon.
between
Yeah,
him and Mace.
Qui-Gon. Yeah. So if I were at the number 9 pick like you were, I probably would have picked just Qui-Gon. But just to have it round out with somebody at the end of the draft, you're just like, oh, because who was the last pick of the first round in 2011 NBA draft. I think it was 2011 or 2012
2011.
maybe. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Who
The
you think?
last pick of the first round
Isaiah
was,
Thomas?
no.
Oh,
It was not.
who are you thinking of?
2011. Jimmy Butler
Oh,
he was like the last pick of the first round, somewhere around there. So I'm hoping Sifo Dyas brings me to at least,
Jimmy Butler
maybe he'll get
status.
traded. Yeah, Jimmy Butler status. Maybe he's an all-star. Maybe he will never get a ring, but he's gonna be there. He's gonna be in the playoffs every year. So, yeah. So I like that Sifo Dyas pick for my last number 5 pick at the number 10 overall.
I love that. I like it. So to review, our five, or I guess my five versus your five. I've got Luke. I've got Obi-Wan. I've got Revan. I've got Ahsoka and Mace. You had Yoda, and then Anakin, and then Rey, and then Dooku, and then Sifo Dyas.
Yes.
I like these squads.
I like these squads a lot. We need to find some type of emulator or some type of
AI.
AI thing that could actually battle those 5 versus 5 and see who comes out on top.
Yeah. I gotta say, I think I have 2 honorable mentions now, because Qui-Gon was gonna be one of mine as well. My
Hmm.
other 2 that I definitely wanted to make a note of, um, he was never gonna be in my top 5, but I love him as a character, is Kanan Jarrus.
Yes, absolutely.
Um,
I was gonna say the same one. Yes.
yeah. Yeah. He's, if you've never seen Rebels, you probably don't know who Kanan is, but he is, I like Kanan a lot more than I like Ezra, actually. Ezra's kind of the main character of Rebels, but
Hmm. I agree. I'm the same.
Yeah, Kanan is his master. And so it is through Kanan that Ezra learns everything that he learns, and he's a big influence upon Ezra. And actually you get to kind of journey along with Kanan and see a huge change in his character because of something that happens to him, kind of from the first season to the end of Rebels. And so, worth noting, I wanted to honorable mention him. My other honorable mention is someone who I definitely would have included in my top 5, but he is not only is he non-canonical, he's not from, well, I guess technically Revan's not from any TV show or movie either, so I kind of cheated there a little bit. But this guy originated, well, I guess Revan originated from a video game too. Revan was kind of a cheap pick. I'll admit it. The
Wait. I'm getting word from New York. Got a invalid pick.
the other person who I was gonna wanted to throw out there is Starkiller. Have you ever played the Force Unleashed games?
Oh, yes, I have. Yes,
Oh,
I have
dude,
played that game.
like this man held a Star Destroyer in his hands with the Force,
Yes,
and took on Vader and the Emperor, and just I thought he was also worth mentioning. So gotta love
very good.
Starkiller.
And I'll admit, I've only watched the Clone Wars probably once, maybe not even a full 2 times through. So a lot of the ones that we mentioned kind of in our chat here, Kit Fisto, Isla Sakura, Plo Koon, Jocasta Nu, Luminara, Shakti. I mean, we have a lot of high powered Jedi's there, but in all honesty, I do not know a ton about each of those characters. I know some about a little bit of each of them, but of course, with all the source material that's out there with the ones that we picked, I mean, maybe with the exception of maybe the Sifo Dyas, we don't have a ton of information on everyone else. But that's the best thing about Star Wars is that they do come out with that source stuff eventually,
Hmm.
whether it is in comics, whether it is in books, video games, what have you. So it's always cool to be a part of it and see. And that's why the Dooku pick for me was pretty much locked down right when you and I talked about doing this draft. That was my wonder. I'm like, I wonder where Dooku is going to land because of what we've learned and in comparison to what we would have done like prior to like
Hmm.
Tales of the Jedi. You know what I mean? So, um, but I definitely wanted to make sure that I got him. So I'm glad I did. That was the one. Everyone else, like, not that I didn't want them, but I wanted Dooku. Dooku was the one that I wanted for sure.
Nice. Yaddle is disappointed in you though.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right. Sorry, Yaddle.
yeah. I thought of one more that I was going to shout out. I admittedly know absolutely nothing about this Jedi. I guess before I talk about her, back to your point originally, um, if you're interested in learning more about any of those other ones that Joey just mentioned, um, if you've never seen the original Clone Wars TV show, not the Clone Wars, but Clone Wars, which came out as the 2D animated version in, I think it was 2003, it is on Disney Plus. It's a great show. It came out in like really small episodes, and then it's like
Hmm.
patched together in like 2 1.5 hour movies now, basically. But it goes into a lot of those characters, especially Kit Fisto and Kiadi Mundi. A lot are heavily represented in that show. In addition to the Clone Wars, which they also kind of explore each of those characters in that show as well. So worth noting. There's some cool stuff about them in there. But the other Jedi I wanted to shout out, I had never heard of this Jedi until today, actually, because it is from an era that I've never read about. And all that to say, I'm probably going to be reading more about her in the near future. I'm excited to learn more. Her name is Nomi Sunrider. And in a bunch of the research I was doing, like her name kept coming up in these like videos and lists that I was looking at. And I was like, who is that? So I read about her, and I'm very interested. She ends up becoming Master of the Jedi Order. There's just so much about her that I found
And
super interesting.
where in time is she?
Yeah, so I think this takes place during it takes place during the Great Sith War, which I think takes place between the Mandalorian Wars and the High Republic era,
Okay.
or maybe during the High Republic era, but don't quote me on that. If anyone else knows the answer to this, anyone else knows something about Nomi Sunrider, comment down below in the YouTube comments. But that's someone I'll be
But no,
looking into soon.
but no spoilers because apparently Ben's gonna be reading all
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And also, after looking at both of our lists, let us know, like we said earlier, what did we miss? What did we get right? Which would you have picked differently? What did we do that maybe you think, hey, that was a pretty solid pick? Let us know that as well. Uh, yeah, we should put up some kind of voter poll somewhere, which squad would win or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Maybe on Twitter. If you're following us over on Twitter, we'll put up a poll after the podcast goes live. And then, as we've said earlier as well, you can always tweet at us at Hoth Hangout if you have any questions, comments, or you just want to, shoot us a message, and that way we can discuss it on the podcast. You can also do that via email at hothhangout@gmail.com. Feel more than welcome to do that as well. And at the time of this recording, I believe we have 49 subscribers on YouTube. So if you want to be that 50th subscriber, or 51st, or 52nd, or however many, you can go ahead and subscribe over on YouTube and check out every new episode of the Hoth Hangout podcast in video version when it comes out there, in addition to some of our reactions to some of the new Star Wars content, which we will be getting in about a month's time. Bad Batch Season 2. Premiering in about exactly a month from the time of this recording. So we'll be looking forward to that very much so. Joey, did I leave anything out? Any thoughts? What are you thinking?
No, this was super fun. I had a lot of fun doing this episode. As much as I do like reviewing all the new material that comes out, the new shows, these types of conversations are the ones that the Star Wars fans also have within each other. Like, who is your best? Who's the most powerful?
Yeah.
These types of things. So I think to have something like this was a great idea. And huge shout out to Gibbo.
Yes.
For all of Gibbo is the one that did all the graphics, all of the overlays that you see here on the Hoth Hangout YouTube channel. So big ups to him for helping us out. Just kind man who is very talented and very helpful for what we want to do here. So thank you, Gibbo. We really appreciate you, man.
Definitely. Yeah, all the Jedi you saw on screen during this episode of the podcast, Gibbo made those assets, and we're super thankful for him. And he, like Joey said, made all the assets for the channel. So big shout out to Gibbo. I think that about does it for us. We will be back again next week. And next week should be a podcast coming out at our normal time, Thursdays. We hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Joey, I hope you have a wonderful trip.
Thank you.
And until we see you all again, thanks so much for listening to Hoth Hangouts. For Joey, I am Ben, and may the Force be